Today I wanted to make an English translation of the German video I conducted yesterday about the flat Earth sun and the 4D hypercube and this octagonal 8D hypercube and all this stuff. So let's go straight into it, and thereby we want to start with the sun actually, because meanwhile we are quite confident that the sun is actually residing or located within or beyond the black hole. This is for sure, and we are going to explain why in a minute. But anyway, regarding the 4D hypercube, when I already uploaded some presentations where I also implemented a specific picture of such a 4D hypercube with these 6 fragments or fractals therein, and then you also have this small cube, regular cube basically in the middle, and in the small cube, basically there is this, the black hole. The torus is also converging there or diverging from there, and therein is the sun. And from this small cube or from beyond the black hole, the sun is actually shining its light into all of these 6 fragments within such a hypercube. It's like a prism in a way, and it is reflecting its light through the black hole surface into these fractals, these truncated pyramids or trapezoids, and there it is then basically dragged along by magnetic lines of force. So you can observe it moving in the sky and all of this, but these are magnetic lines of force, and the light itself is just a reflection that is then dragged along. But anyway, so you have this 4D hypercube, and therein in the middle is this central cube, the black hole, and then you have these dielectric inertial plates where the black hole surface, where all the information is stored. And why is the sun beyond the black hole? Well, that's quite simple to understand when you realize how holograms are projected or generated, because you have a black hole surface and there's all the information stored, and then you have the light from beyond that, and it is shining through this surface of the black hole, and then the information is projected holographically into the alleged space, and this is how all that we observe or interact with comes to fruition actually, or basically. And this is happening in the center of this 4D hypercube. There's the black hole, and when we actually go into this, then we end up in these interstellar like extrapolate dimensional realms for the lack of a better term as of now, and freestyle. And there's then in a way another bigger cube where other cubes are entailed or repeating within themselves, but this again, this extrapolate stuff, and we stay with the 4D hypercube and 8D hypercube at this point. So let's go over to the octagonal hypercube. The Earth universe hologram is perpetuated within an octagonal multidimensional hypercube, and this octagonal hypercube we have transferred into our frequency bandwidth. That is, it is still an octagonal hypercube also now in our emulate version thereof, but it doesn't end there. So you have this octagonal prior Earth universe hologram hypercube, and it itself is located or perpetuated within a toroid, a torus, and this torus is located in another support structure, a bigger hypercube, because we are now in the 12th dimension, and this is one of these dimensions within this extrapolate hypercube, and therein this octagonal hypercube is located, and but it doesn't end there, as we have stated. So we have more dimensions than this, but you still have this octagonal hypercube with the toroid, which is located in another hypercube, which is also perpetuated within a toroid, and this you can continue this ad infinitum, because we have infinite dimensions and geometries, so there are much more geometries at play, and we are going to see how far we can dive into them in terms of making a presentation, technical presentations, or elaborating thereon. We are going to see, because as of now I can't do this because we are also reconstructing live, so there's a shit ton of information ahead that is waiting for oneself, and when this is actually then dripped into your conscious mind, then you can process it, and then we see what derives from that. But for now I think this is enough for today. Little small update on this stuff also, and all unconditional love and all peace, all blessings. Have a nice evening. Let us have a look at all these parallel timelines within such a multi-dimensional hypercube. As has been stated, the prior Earth universe hologram comprised of 8 dimensions, which translates as octagonal multidimensional hypercube that inherits several sets of dimensions, geometries and magnetics according to the varying dimensional frequency signatures involved in each dimensional frequency bandwidth. In our universe, there were infinite of such dimensions. It is therefore a kind of infinitesimalography where you have those single individual hologram cubes repeating each other in all directions, such as within themselves, infinitely. Depending on which dimension or holographic withinness they repeat themselves, we deal with another dimensional perception or frequency, where you have a different oversight over all those parallel cubes or single moments that are all each one hologram or super hologram. All of these single cubes within such a hypercube define one single moment in time-space, where time has basically become a spatial coordinate in all directions, if you like. And the so-called Tesseract-like adjoint cubes that are at a 90 degree angle are like a shadow of a 4D hypercube. But those adjoint and adjacent cubes themselves have these shadow-like cubes as well. Thus, you can add as much dimensions as you want, or as much dimensions or as many dimensions as you can conceive or conceptualize. And this 90 degree angle of all the facets of one of those hypercubes makes it possible for the light to be reflected into all of those cube-like confinements within one of those hypercubes. And such a cube within the cube within the center of the 6 facets of one single 4D hypercube is thereby most likely related to black hole mechanics, and the light emits from beyond there, and it is then beyond the black hole, and it is then reflected everywhere throughout the hypercube. And the cube in the center of this hypercube is where the toroids are converging to and diverging from. And this is applicable as well to all the support structures that encompass such a hypercube themselves. As we see here with the interstellar black hole visualizations, they are in this movie for a reason. More we but cannot say about things like that at this point without melting the minds of too many of the observers. But anyway, so essentially these cubes or receptacles are all immovable moments or single super holograms, and merely your consciousness is moving through them, thereby creating the illusion of movement. It is therefore more reminiscent of a film where each scene is lined up side by side, and when you project a light on this film, you can see moving pictures. It is basically the same principle or mechanic. And your consciousness is the light that shines through a black hole surface, or the film wheel in this context. This black hole surface is, by the way, the so-called dielectric inertial plate of each magnetically confined realm within this toroidal vortex column, wherein a reality-based system transpires in the end. And within this black hole surface, all the information is stored that is then projected holographically into the alleged space or magnetic realm receptacle. Anyway, within a black hole or beyond the black hole, you enter dimensional environments like displayed here, and from this point of view, you have a direct oversight and access to all single moments or timelines on all the infinite parallel timelines, or all moments on all of the infinite parallel timelines. These are all individually perceived by yourself, but you only experience them one at a time, if you will. But they all exist, and you perceive all of them simultaneously right here, right now. And these are all the timelines you can now pick and choose from, and then fuse moments to implement or adapt them to your actual personal retrospective perspective to experience them now in a reconstructed way. Oneself has this dimensional complete overview over all these infinite parallel timelines in an intuitive way, because right now, concurrently, oneself perceives this environment shown here as well, and this perspective of self is directly transmitting information into this retrospective perspective of self, where from I am creating this here. And therefore, in every moment, I do what needs to be done in this very moment to keep the anticipated best case timeline running and unfolding, or rather reconstructing. This happens intuitively from this higher perspective, or from this perspective here, it happens intuitively. But it also transpires in a directly orchestrated way from a much higher dimensional perspective, or retrospective, where we can see what happens next when you do this, or what would happen if you do this or that instead. And derived from this comprehensive vision, we guide or navigate ourselves through this retrospective of self, whereof there are infinite that all exist right now at once. So you have infinite cube-like receptacles that repeat themselves infinitely within themselves, and these are all the timelines we now predominantly elaborate on at the moment. And this material shown here offers you quite a practical visual impression of how this looks. You all do this right now to guide yourself through this, but as long as you remain unaware thereof, you cannot really benefit from your actual possibilities and capabilities that you now all possess after having transcended. But we wish to share this with you to show you in which direction the research also now goes when it comes to multi-dimensional blueprinting of this universe, our universe, beyond the electromagnetic spectrum. So some visual impressions of this infinitely repeating hologram, this infinitesimalography or infinitesimalogram, and these visualizations that we show here are the best you are ever going to see, and you cannot display or create it in a more accurate way, in a way that anyone can grasp this or visualize this at all. So anyway, just look at this and let it sink in, and this is about more of the research that is coming, and when it comes to blueprinting this and that. But anyway, we wish you a great evening and all unconditional love. So we wish to give you a short definition of a super hologram, because I couldn't find any on the internet. So but before we go into the definition, we wanted to state something important, because what is important for those in transition phase now to realize is how fucking easy it actually is. So we can explain this in a few sentences, and that it is. So it's actually that simple. But anyway, so a super hologram basically defines that holograms are perpetuated or existing within a hologram, and this is holograms within holograms. And you can think of it this way: actually, you yourself, so your body is a hologram, and everything that you perceive allegedly outside of you is also a holographic projection within your brain. It all transpires within your brain. So it is actually projected within yourself, within your hologram, and but it's still holographic and you can interact with it. So this is a super hologram, because there is this holographic environment, or these holographic individuals you are interacting or interfering with, and they are existing within you, and you are a hologram yourself. So this is super holography, and so you're a super hologram, and these are super holographic energetic fields that are creating this. So within these fields there are the blueprints, and these blueprints are then projected holographically. You also have a black hole within your body where the toroids is converging and diverging. And there is also information stored, and you are also light, and this light is projecting this information holographically. So this is how a body is created, and within the body, or within the brain, which is decoding these frequencies from these fields within your brain, then this holographic environment is projected and generated, and this is what you are interacting with. And so this is a super hologram. We wish to give you this interpretation or definition, so that you know what you are dealing with or what you are yourself. So all unconditional love, peace. Okay, what do we have here? This is fucking epic because as we see we have a hypercube displayed in a crop circle, and it's actually showing you how this works. Well, here's the black hole anyway in the center, but the most important thing which is displayed here or hinted here, it's a technical description basically, because yeah, let's count these here, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. From 3 to 8 dimensional geometric support structures or hypercubes, yeah, individual hypercubes, geometric support structures. All of them have their world systems therein, and this crop circle here shows you these entailed other hypercubes that are entailed holographically within themselves, yeah. And here in the middle is a black hole, and these are the dielectric inertial plates, or the black hole surface where all the information is stored, yeah, and the sun is therein, and the sunlight is shining through these dielectric inertial plates, and then all the information is projected into these geometric support structures and all the world systems therein, okay. And here we have an 8-dimensional hypercube displayed here in the end, and it's octagonal, and this is this octagonal hypercube that we already have spoken of, and it's showing you this technical setup or arrangement or array of these dimensional geometric support structures within this octagonal hypercube construct. So there it is in a crop circle, exactly showing you how this works, and all unconditional love, all peace and all blessings. Okay, then let's have a look at this hypercube model that I recently got, and I'm now going to dissect it. And we are going to talk a little bit about these truncated pyramids, or these fractals or fragments of one 4D hypercube. So essentially we are more focusing on the 4D hypercube today in this little freestyle on this stuff. But anyway, so in one 4D hypercube we have 6 of these fragments or fractals, which are each one realm, just like this reality-based system or duality-based system that we are now perceiving ourselves in still. And one of these is just like the flat earth, basically, because as you already learned, the flat earth is actually perpetuated within a truncated pyramid, yeah, a trapezoid-like realm, geometry-wise. And one of these flat earth realms or duality or reality-based systems that are located within such a truncated pyramid here is only one fragment or one aspect of one 4D hypercube. So all these other trapezoids here are also most likely or almost definitely the same earth realm, basically, yeah. And these are like parallel versions thereof, and we are going to learn a little bit later when I put it together how this works and why it is very sensible or probable that these are actually really parallel earth systems within one hypercube. But anyway, we're still here. So let's do this here. I did this in the German version as well. So when we look at this here, this setup, we see a cross, right? So as you already can conceive, what I'm going to tell you now is that basically the Roman Catholic Church, they co-opted this hypercube model, dissected when you put it when you split it in these 6 fragments. So they based this cross on something very fundamental, but it's not what Christians, for instance, think as fundamental thereof. It's rather dealing with the general geometric setup of the whole earth, okay? So they co-opted this cross symbol for their agendas and religious mind control, but they derived it actually, or distilled it from the actual environment wherein everything is transpiring actually. So this is very funny. But anyway, so let's talk a little bit about this earth realm. Let's focus on one of these fractals here, on one realm, yeah? So I have this laser pointer. Now let's talk a little bit about the rooftop, which is obviously flat, just as observed in reality. And as we also already know, the sun is moving from east to west. Let's conceive this as north, south, east and west. And the sun is moving from east to west, dragged along by magnetic lines of force. Yeah. So, and we have this equator line, then we have the northern tropic, and we have the southern tropic. With the left hand it's a little bit shaky, but I think it works. Anyway, so the sun is moving throughout the year in quotation marks from north to south. Yeah, it's always going from east to west, rinse and repeat every day, day in, day out, always, okay? Because it's just the fucking magnetic model that is applied here, okay? So anyway, the sun is moving from east to west, dragged along by magnetic lines and force, and we already got aware, or many are aware of reportings or sightings that the sun has been observed north of the northern tropic. So we wouldn't expect that. Normally this should be impossible actually, yeah, but it is frequently reported. So how can this work? Well, actually the sunlight itself is a reflection anyway, naturally, yeah, and we have these magnetic boundaries, yeah, these walls here, these magnetic walls, and the sunlight is actually also reflecting off of this, in this case, northern wall, okay, and therefore people see the reflection that is coming off this northern magnetic wall, and then they see the sun. But it's a reflection of this boundary, this northern boundary, because these walls or these confinements are of magnetic nature. These are magnetic walls, like reported on also in many ancient cosmologies when they speak of mountains and stuff like that. These are these walls, magnetic walls or boundaries, confinements. And the sunlight is reflecting off of, for instance, of this rooftop, and thereby it becomes visible to us in the first place, because if light doesn't reflect off of something, you wouldn't be able to see it at all, because it's an instantaneous event. And so anyway, the light is reflecting off of these boundaries and the rooftop. Of course, it also reflects off the atmospheric density or layers, no question about that. But initially it becomes visible by reflecting off of this rooftop. And also when it reflects off of these boundaries, then maybe also in the south, maybe someone could observe that the sun is spotted more south than it should be residing or whatever. So okay, anyway, so this is magnetic models from east to west, because it's 4D structure, geometric support structure, wherein these realms are perpetuated, and all of these realms are single earth parallel systems. And I think I'm now going to put the Hypercube together, because then I can go on with the stuff. And so give us a little break here. Okay, here we are again with the now complete Hypercube. But before I forget that, let's talk a little bit about the diamond, because I totally missed this in the first video. So actually this diamond here, this is the absolutely the ground base of this realm. Yeah, it's a tilted square essentially, and the ground floor of a pyramid, because this whole thing is actually a pyramid, only it is kept at the top. So these realms, as we just have displayed. But anyway, so we have the diamond, and actually it's funny that this blue blue avians, but anyway, so the diamond is absolutely the model that you should look into when you want to make detail work. So go to Flat Earth Conspiracy Channel and One Valiki, they have the stuff completely figured out. So anyway, now we have this Hypercube here. Yeah, now the 6 fragments of fractals are combined or converged. And so where's the laser pointer? Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about this red cube here in the middle, because this is where all the, basically the apexes of all these 6 fragments are converging and meeting again, if you like. And in the center thereof, there is the sun, that it's rotating due to toroidal acceleration, and it's doing its rotation, and thereby it's also instantaneously emitting its light, and this light is then reflected into all of these 6 fractals or fragments within this hypercube, into all these realms, like from a prison. It's reflected into these realms here, yeah, and you can see this here with these nice effects with the laser. It's actually a little bit here refracting or whatever, but the light comes from within the black hole, and it's then reflected into these fractals and these truncated pyramids or trapezoids. And when we go into this black hole here, then we enter these dimensional realms or environments like shown in Interstellar. When he's entering the black hole, he's entering another dimensional setup, which is located in a different geometric support structure that is also perpetuated within a toroid, because of course this 4D hypercube is also perpetuated within a toroid as always, and the toroid is within another support structure which is also perpetuated within a toroid, and so forth. But anyway, we are still with the 4D hypercube. So we have this black hole. The light is then reflected into all of these 6 fragments, and then it is there dragged along by magnetic lines of force, and they can observe the sunlight and anything else moving from east to west, whatever. Yeah. But when you are in this black hole, then you have the oversight over all of these fragments, all of these parallel reality-based systems or reality-based systems that are each located within such a fractal or fragment in one of these truncated pyramids in this case. Yeah. So you have the complete oversight over all of them, and this is also why it is so probable that these are all parallel systems of the same Earth. Because when you are in this black hole and you have this oversight over all these parallel existences and timelines, basically it's all about timelines again. Yeah, these are also timelines. Every one of these single dimensional cubes, or however we want to call them, where you can look into when you are in this state of consciousness or on this frequency or on this environment in the end, ultimately in the environment, where you can observe all of these parallel systems. We also upload a video, this infinitesimallography video. There you can see this displayed thanks to the interstellar bonus material. This is very mind-blowing but also very advanced stuff. But anyway, so you have all these parallel realms, yeah, which you can observe, and these are entailed within this black hole in this new setup. But anyway, let's do this here. So imagine you have this cube here, yeah, and actually there's no movement, okay? What is happening is that your consciousness, the only thing that is moving essentially is your consciousness, but this cube here, yeah? Imagine now that there's another cube here, another one here, and so forth ad infinitum. So cube, and everywhere cubes. Behind this cube there are cubes, and here aside of it there are cubes, adjacent cubes everywhere. Yeah, just imagine that there are cubes everywhere. Yeah. So let's focus on this one here, because we are now going through these cubes, and this is your consciousness here. It is moving through all of these cubes, and every of this cube, like this one here, these infinite cubes that you are basically projecting. It's a projection. You are projecting your consciousness through all these cubes, and thereby the dreamed up movement takes place. It is basically like a film reel, yeah, when you have all these pictures on the film reel, and when you then project light onto this film, you end up on a projection screen with moving pictures. And this is basically the same principle of what is transpiring here, with when your consciousness is moving through all these cubes that are lined up or are adjoined side by side. All these 4D hypercubes are adjacent side by side, and you are moving through them, and every single cube is one single moment, now moment, okay? Because it's a hologram, it's holographic, and it's infinite holographic, and therefore it's no problem. They are also repeating within themselves, but this is then another dimensional setup, and this is a higher dimensional geometric support structure. So we stay with this here, and this is really, it's like a film. So again, it's like a film reel, and your consciousness is the light that is projected onto this film reel, and then all these holographic or super holographic environments and images and figures and everything comes to fruition. So your body and your environment is all holographic, super holographic, and it's consciousness moving endlessly through these cubes, these adjoint holographic super hologram cubes or super hologram cubes. Fuck shit. But anyway, so and within this cube there's a black hole, and these are the dielectric inertial plates, yeah, and within them the information is stored, and the light that is coming from within the black hole is projected through this dielectric inertial plate, and thereby the holograms or the holographic environment is created, or the holograms are created and generated. Yeah, and this is how everything comes to pass, which you are observing, which you are interacting with, and what have you. So you are living inside such a 4D hypercube, which itself is perpetuated within this octagonal hypercube, this prior Earth universe hologram construct. It's octagonal, and therein we have these 4D hypercubes, and they are the support structure for these 3D realms, these 3D truncated pyramid trapezoid-like realms with a flat surface and a flat rooftop, and you have a certain angle which is also playing a role in the observation of the sky, the luminaries and all this stuff. 23.5 or whatever. Go to the Flat Earth Conspiracy channel, One Waliki, they figured all this stuff out already, and yeah, so I think this is it. So this is where you live in here, in this cube, in one of these truncated pyramids here. Yeah, it's flat, it's fucking flat. Yeah, and the rooftop is flat and anything, and here's the black hole, and there was the sun and all this other stuff. But we are going to do more research on this, how this actually works, what rotation takes place therein, because what we see actually in the sky, like these plasma moon and sun and all the plasma luminaries, they're really looking like this, but their light comes from beyond the black hole. Yeah, and it's hard to describe, but it's then channeled or converted into this realm, and then it's reflecting off of this, and then we can see it and record it and all this stuff. So anyway, this is it for this presentation. All unconditional love, all peace, all blessings. Caught in the crossfire. It's caught in the crossfire.